Holy freak, this is accurate. Dadgum. That is shooting good. Freaking A, man. That's awesome.
About 1.5 inches high.
Yep. Dead center. Man, I've learned a lot since I've been doing this gig. It would fill volumes, no joke, about the gear, what works, what doesn't, about hype, what's real, what's not, about the manufacturers, about systems, about people, and yes, about the internet.
That's the most accurate.
I've learned tons. For instance, the internet, especially YouTube, tends to be, how should we say, somewhat fickle, flippant. You know what I mean? In other words, what was popular 5 years ago, 4 years ago, heck, even last year, may or may not be popular this year when we're talking about a system, a gear item. And that could be due to a number of reasons, perhaps one of which would be disinformation on the type, which gathers steam, there establishes a groupthink against this item, and lo and behold, it is unjustly unpopular. I've seen that happen. And likewise, I've seen something be very popular gear-wise that I didn't think should be popular, like a gun, a knife, and I was like, man, I just don't understand why guys like this. It sucks. And you guys know in the Nut and Fancy Project, I speak the truth as I see it. Doesn't mean that I'm always right or that you and I will always agree, but you know, I'm going to give it to you straight. If I think a system's rocking, I'm going to tell you. You're going to sense the enthusiasm. If I think it sucks, likewise, you're going to hear that. I'm known for that. And if I were you, that's why I'd be watching TMP. You're just going to have an unadulterated voice of the best truth I can deliver to you. I intro with that because of the two guns on the table. They buck this trend, at least in TMP. I have always been pleasantly surprised at the enthusiasm that my tactical bolt-action rifle videos get. Both the shooting expeditions that we do and the tabletop reviews. TMPers love them. They are into the tactical bolt-action rifle. Not so much the hunting bolt-action rifle. Witness the Ruger American, the Savage Axis, which received very lukewarm views. Guys, for whatever reason, just didn't dig it. They're like, not tactical. I'm not interested. Even though, yes, they could flex in that philosophy of use. We talked about it in those reviews. But most TMPers, a tactical bolt-action rifle, they dig it. And we'll see how this video does, but I think I know my viewers and they just eat it up. And I really like it when my interests, my enthusiasm matches yours. Doesn't always happen. It happens frequently, but not every video. It doesn't. And so when I see that happen, the planets align. I throw money and time towards learning, perfecting a system. And that's what this video is about. Perfecting a high value, very capable, excellent tactical bolt action rifle, the Remington 700. And that's what the vid's about. It's about a progression that I've done since I did my review in August 2012 of both of these guns, by the way. They were paired up for the review, and here we are, whatever it is, over 1.5 years later, and we're doing another update video. And I'm going to share with you my process in learning and improving these systems. And it's an approach that you may want to apply to your Remington, maybe you don't. And these guns are not perfect, no gun is. They have some quirks. They are livable, You can work around them, a lot of which I talked about in my August 2012 video. The Remington 700 AAC and the SPS, both of which are on the table. Not perfect. So, some of the information in this update video on these two bolt-action rifles will be duplicated, but it's going to be kind of a mini review concentrating mostly on the improvements to the system and what my new thoughts are, having shot both of the guns a lot. Sound fun? Cool. Let's get on it. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on POU, if any. I think I hit that pretty good in the August 2012 video. You guessed it. It can be a hunting rifle, a team rifle, an all-around, whatever you want to call it, WRL rifle, although I think you'd be much better served with a tactical carbine. Remember that discussion. I'll stick to that. And I don't think a tactical bolt-action rifle, whether you're talking Remington, FN, Savage, a higher-end one, whatever, is the perfect rifle for every situation, obviously. And as I've said in some of my Sapper videos, that is, if we're talking 308, that is 7.62 by 51 caliber, those are actually my preferred style of gun. I'm talking semi-automatic precision rifle. They will shoot just as accurately as these rifles within most engagement distances, in my experience, out to 300 yards, no problem. Now, once you push past that, a bolt gun, from what I've seen, will be a little bit more accurate, maybe a lot more accurate, depending on the individual, both the gun and the person shooting it. POU. So Sapper, I generally will prefer it. If I can get a bolt-action rifle at a lighter weight, I love it. And if I think in a certain situation I don't need a lot of firepower, a bolt-action rifle makes sense. Or, here we go again. I mean, it's an interesting discussion. I could spend another hour video on it if I have another team member with me. So I'm the primary shooter, just like in the military. I have a spotter. He's armed with a sapper, maybe a tactical carbine. Then that's a good team that makes a lot of sense because he's got higher volume of fire. I have more precision fire. Maybe even go in a larger caliber, not specifically these rifles. These are in 308, both of them, as you remember from 12. But generally a sapper would where I want to go. Now, as we progress here, I'm going to talk about the improvements, results of the improvements, and when I did the review on the AAC, it did not have the can on it, and so I went out and did a lot of shooting with this can to, once again, here comes the word again, learn. You know, is it going to improve the system? And does it, as we talked about in the original review, open up a new application that is a quiet rifle for certain situations, whether you're FCLE, responsible civilian, wherever you need a quiet rifle. That's POU. That's all I'm going to say. Innovation design, we hit that a lot in the original video. Not going to say too much about that, except on the stocks. And I guess I'll start launching into this right now. One of the weaknesses on actually both of these rifles, as they come from Remington, are the stocks. Now, you astute TMPers are already looking at that SPS on the bottom there, and you realize that that is not the original SPS stock, and you are correct. That is actually a Bell & Carson light tactical stock, fitted to address what we talked about in the original review, and that is the flexibility of the original stock, which actually the AAC Hogue Overmold has as well, and that is the forearm can flex and actually touch the barrel when you're on a bipod. Remember that discussion? And so I'm saying, well, let's see if we can improve that by getting an aftermarket stock. So we went out, bought from Brownells this Bell & Carson light tactical stock. By the way, it's not the only great stock for the 700. There's a bunch. The question is twofold, though. How much you want to spend, and how much weight are you willing to add to your rifle? Let's concentrate on that second point, because you know, people, I've seen dudes, they'll drop $1,000 on a folding stock for a Remington 700. I've seen it. Maybe you have too. To me, it kind of baffles my mind, because you're going to spend that type of money. I think it's better pulled back. You sell the gun, you go get something that is factory built with all those additions to it. That, to me, that makes more value sense. But a lot of guys do it. But almost always, you're going to add a ton of weight to the gun. You're going to end up with a 12-pound, 13-pound Remington 700, even in 308, which to me does not make a lot of sense. That's why I went with the Bell & Carson. An HS Precision stock is very similar to this. It doesn't have the notch here, the offhand notch. Very similar. It's a full aluminum bedding block, the HS Precision I'm talking. It is a really stiff, proven action. Last time I checked, the 700Ps were wearing the HS Precisions. I've shot them a lot. I love them. They have a big fat beaver tail on them. Very cool, but they're expensive. I think FFL price at Brownells is $330. This one we got for, prices change by the way all the time, $260. So it does what the HS Precision does. I actually like the profile better, both the forearm, notice the forearm, how it's still flat, double studs there on the front, completely free floated, aluminum V-block here, so it's really stiff. And then it's got this taper down here, full pistol grip, and then offhand notch, nice recoil pad. No, it's not adjustable. Not for $260. You want a fully adjustable stock for your Remington 700. You're talking, you're going to go up there. I mean, like an AI stock or something, then you're talking into that $1,000 range, something like that. Or the Eberly stock. Those are great stocks as well. We talked to Glenn about his stocks. They're expensive though, and they do add weight. This stock is excellent. Highly recommended. That's one reason I'm doing this video, is to show you these components that you can consider them. Say, hey, maybe I can make my 700 SPS or whatever model more accurate. And we'll talk about that here in a second. Did it do it? Did it not do it? Now, I did not change the stock on the AAC. Main reason? Well, here we go again. Two reasons actually. Cost, weight. We had that discussion in the original video that you really need to ask yourself, do I want to add more weight, and can I live with a gun as accurate as it is? And I can't answer that for you. You have to. With the AAC, I will say that that was the right decision. Because to me, let's jump back to POU real quick. This gun with its 20-inch barrel, now with a suppressor, is a very, for what it is, maneuverable, I won't say lightweight, but maneuverable tactical bolt gun.
Nice.
I don't want to add any more weight to it, especially as you will see, because it's shooting so well, as is, even off bipod.
Another example.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's right, even off bipod. And this is a free-floated barrel, by the way. This particular one is, I mean, I put an index card, it didn't touch nothing going all the way back
Just pushing the rear down too much.
from the factory.
Yeah,
Is it ideal? No. I mean, I dropped this sucker, by the way, I'm talking the overmolded stock by Hogue. I dropped it in the cactus, man. It had all kinds of prickly stuff stabbing it. It was a learning moment out there in the high desert. Oh, PFI dude, we're out there. We're just laughing like, check that out, man. So that's a stock. I just left that one on. Let's talk about the bolts now. Now we're just kind of talking innovation, design, improvements. When I did the video, they had standard bolts on them, both of these guns. I can't remember exactly how I addressed that in the ergonomic section, but can you live with a standard bolt on a 700? The answer is obviously yes. But do you want to? That's the question. I mean, these are, let's get real. These are serious. When we say tactical, you know, it's a word that's overused. It's thrown around talking about height. Guys are like, yeah, tactical this, tactical that. All I mean is this can be used in war fighting when we're talking about a rifle. If we say tactical, this is a war fighting rifle, whoever you are, military, FCLE, yes, even responsible civilian, WROL. Yeah, I've always said that.
2672.
Tactical rifle, war fighting. That being said, it needs to be operated very positively, especially a Remington 700, because jumping ahead to reliability and all that, a quirk of the 700, as revealed here in the Nut and Fancy project, I don't know about other places, but I've been shooting the 700 since I was 12, so I have a lot of experience on it, is that some models have some very, I shouldn't say some models, but pretty much the type has some pretty anemic ejection. Now I reviewed the FN-TSR, and that is a rifle that ejects. I mean, it has a fixed blade ejector. You rack that bolt back, you can vary how far it ejects. You're reloading, you just want to barely flip the cartridge out, or the casing. Great. You really want to flip it out like you're not messing around. Fast follow-up shots, you can do that too. The bolt on the 700 is not so much, and we have talked about this, but we're talking about the bolt knobs and why it's important to perhaps consider an extension on such. I put in a stronger plunger spring, that is ejector plunger spring in it, from Wolf. You'll see a photo there. And then I put in a new ejector as well, which wasn't super easy to install, but I did it, and I was hoping that would really fling the cartridges out and improve it. Short answer is, what do you think? Right, it did not. It does sufficiently. I mean, you'll see video of me shooting it since we last talked about this rifle. Maybe a slight improvement, but nothing like I was hoping for. Outgrowth of the design. And you can have all kinds of discussions. Well, you know, the spring's too weak, it's too strong, it's holding the cartridge too much, not enough. I'm not a scientist, I'm not too sure. It works good enough. But that being said, it's going to work better if you get a positive bolt manipulation. That's what brings us to the handle. More leverage, you won't miss it. Bring that bolt all the way to the rear. We'll talk about that here in just a second. Complete, you know, the loading sequence. And so on this bolt, and I'm showing you two variations, one of which I have a video on. This bolt I sent off to a gunsmith and he modded it. I think that's an aluminum Badger Ordnance modification on there. He threaded it, tapped it, did an outstanding job on it. I forget who I used. If I find it, I'll let you know. I forget. But he did a great job. It wasn't super cheap. It's perfect, actually. It doesn't hit the scope anymore. Lots of leverage. It looks cool, right? It looks like a tactical bolt gun, and maybe a second type of cool comes into that. You go to the range, and, you know, it looks like a police sharpshooter rifle, really. With the addition of the Bell & Carson, I can't speak, Bell & Carson light tactical stock, it looks like a 700P, and actually it is. Aluminum bedded stock, very sturdy, and the extended bolt nut. That's a 700P, right? Now this one, like you saw in the other video, is a very easy modification. That's a KRG, what they call the bolt lift. And I think I said in the video it was like 40. It's not. It's 28 bucks. A lot cheaper, and I love this too. And actually, I prefer this because it's so cost effective. If you want to restore it to stock configuration, you can. Comes in 3 colors, black, OD, desert tan, and they're constantly improving it. It's just such a win. PFI dude shot this, loved it as well. Yeah, I mean, it's a great addition. So now those are 2 modifications to increase, you know, ejection.
50.
This, by the way, in further shooting, is ejecting fine. You know, it's not throwing it like 3 feet. It's more or less. I mean, it's a 700. That's just the way they work. That's a modification on both guns. 2 different approaches, 2 different cost points as well. How about the triggers? Well, here's what I've learned since we talked last. These are Exmark Pro triggers. They are a replacement in the Remington 700. I do like them. They don't go as light as Remington says. I think I read somewhere that they come out of box 3.5 pounds. That's not what I've seen. Let's see. I haven't even tried this one. We're going to actually throw it on a scale right now in front of the camera. We're going to see. Oh, look! Digital trigger scale. I used that freaking spring one forever, and then I lost it. I can't even find it. So let's see if I can operate this fine. I have this, I think, set as light as it will go. This is the SPS. Not bad. So let's try it again. That's 3 pounds, about 15. Got to press ready on this. This is a Lyman trigger scale. So far, I love it. So 4.3. And we're going to find out that that's about what this one is pulling too. The AAC as well. Let's check it. Check it. Whoops, I didn't press ready. Operator error. I don't know why they do that, but you got to press ready every time. So about the same. So they're pulling about 4.5 pounds. Both of these triggers. Crisp let off. I love that. I don't love this though. How the adjustment screw impinges upon the face of the trigger. I don't like that. Remington ought to fix that. It's not a good design. I mean, I've had air guns that are better than that. They'll have a flush mounted, you know, adjustment screw that you can access through the trigger guard. That's better. Now, speaking of triggers, actually bottom metal on the SPS. When I started projecting this for you guys and saying, how can we make it better, more accurate, cooler, I was thinking about doing a magazine conversion on this gun. And I think that is a fault with the Remington 700. These style of high value tactical bolt action rifles, I know they have magazine fed, heck, these models as well, but these are the 2 I'm considering. Do I put like a Badger Ordnance conversion kit in it? Short answer, no. Here we go again. Cost? weight and actually complexity on that. We got one, and I was looking at it. I got it from Brownells. I was checking it out. I was like, okay, didn't fit this stock. Definitely, we would have had to mill the stock. That's either me doing it. That's a huge project. A gunsmith doing it. More time, more money, and then the weight was substantial. A lot. I mean, it uses an AI style magazine, extremely heavy. I think it's like a 14-ounce mag, single stack, very strong, steel bottom metal. Actually, I can't remember. I think I got aluminum version. I'll show you a photo. Short answer, no. Yes, I would like the rounds. I really would, but I can't do it on terms of weight. This one right here, and I even wrote it on my hand so I wouldn't forget. 10 pounds, 13 ounces as you see it with that stock. That's pretty good. And that's an MGW rail with, I think, 20 MOA built into it. That's the Bushnell scope. We talked about that. That was a full field 30 in MOA, not mils. Very heavy profile barrel. We've got a very rigid stock, free floated, doesn't touch the barrel even with bipod. Police stock basically, extended bolt knob, 10 pounds, 13 ounces. That is an amazing weight for what we're getting. A 308 bolt gun with all that. That's without bipod. Now this one right here, I hope I weighed it. I don't know if I did or not. I think this is like 11 pounds with the can. The can is a Gemtech HVT. I hope to talk about it again here. So that's with a 24-ounce can, not the bipod, about 11 pounds. Naked, this gun again is 8 pounds, 3 ounces. Do I put a magazine conversion kit on this? No. It's just too much weight complexity. And it wouldn't fit that stock anyhow. That would have to be modified. Someone needs to come out with a legacy sports style magazine conversion for the Remingtons. And if you haven't seen it, Legacy Sports does one for the Vanguard series, the Howa series, which is outstanding. I have mentioned it in other videos. I wish they had it for this. There is a brand called Quick Clip. I have not evaluated that. I did not see it for a 308 chambering, though. I see it for hunting calibers. There you go. So it'd be nice to have that. Modifications. I talked about the stronger ejector spring, new ejector. Got the bolt knob. That's it. And on this, the trigger we talked about, I make sure I don't miss anything. As a review, these are tally rings, one-piece rings. And as I always do, I mentioned this in the original review, notice how low I mount my scope to pretty much every gun you'll see coming from in front of the camera. I just don't like high rings, especially on this that doesn't have a raised comb. So you want to get your face down on that stock, and I will say I have no problems at all in this AAC from having shot it even more now looking through the glass. Okay, now this does have a raised comb, and I got this one as low as I could. I am being fought a little bit because I have a rail, this MGW rail, so it's higher. So I had to go with these very low TPS rings, which are outstanding and very expensive, by the way. I got these from Midway USA. That's the only place I find that has them, and that's how high I am with the scope.
I like the sound of that. Nice and quiet.
Okay, so how about accuracy? Those are modifications. And let's see, I didn't know if I reminded you of the glass line. That's another Burris there. Well, let me show you some paper. As a reminder, here's what the SPS was shooting prior to the installation of the Bell & Carson stock. Bam. Pretty good, actually, right? I thought so. I mean, it's not outstanding. You'll see about a 2-inch group with Ultramax, 1.5-inch group with gold metal match, 168 grain. There's an inch group with gold metal match. That's pretty sweet. About a 3-inch group with 150 grain Federal Premium. And by the way, I have not seen that load shoot good out of any bolt gun. And both of these are a little bit faster twist. I know the AAC is a 1 in 10. I think the SPS is a 1 in 10 as well to stabilize heavier bullets. Here comes another target with the unmodified Remington 700 SPS, XM762, awful group, just really bad. And those were good trigger pulls off a really stable rest. Here we go. Cellar and Bellet shooting 1 MOA. For your reference, that's really excellent FMJ ammo. Some of the best, very consistent, shoots well out of everything. But 1 MOA with the Bell & Carson Light Tactical stock. So what you're going to see from these groups is it delivers. This did indeed tighten up the groups. I know that's conventional wisdom, but I got to prove it for myself. hey man, put this accessory on, it's going to make your gun so much better. How many times have you heard that and you do it and you go, this sucks, it doesn't do what it says? You ever gone through that? I have tons. So no, say, oh, put the stock on, it's going to shoot so much better. Now we'll see. This one did. There's that 3/4 inch group. Shut up. Lake City 175 grain match, shooting out the SPS with a Bell & Carson stock. It's not threaded, doesn't have suppressor on that one, it's uncorked. That's actually about a 1 inch group. I say 0.75. Check that. One whole group. Federal gold medal match, one of my favorite loads. Oh my gosh. Good shooting. Very stoked. And that Ultramax that was doing okay, it shrunk to 0.8 MOA with that stock. PMC shot into 2.6. So, verdict, a win. This stock at the expense of, for this setup, cost, it's $260, maybe more. Weight. Can't remember exactly how much it weighted, it added to the system, but I think around 2 pounds. Maybe not that much, but 1.5 pounds, 2 pounds. Remember, one thing I loved about the original SPS stock, it's flexible, it's not perfect, but it's light, and it's tough, and it came with a gun. So we're going to represent all sides. I mean, it's not like I'm coming to this video, oh, you got to totally mod your gun. If you want to tighten the groups, maybe there's some second kind of cool stuff, it will deliver. We're being honest. How about the AAC? Well, I'll tell you, shooting that gun, and I think I said this in the original review, I love shooting it. The shot good. I would not say great. I'm looking for an original target. These are suppressed. Here, I'll roll in a target right here. It shot okay. I would say it hovered right around 2 MOA, to be honest with you guys, when it was uncanned. Maybe 1.5 on the best groups. I didn't come away shooting the Remington AC and going, oh my gosh, this is so accurate, until I put the can on it. So we slap, and there are all types of great 308 suppressors out there. This is just one, and I gravitated towards this one because of its size efficiency. This again is a Gemtech HVT THD, I think is the one. It's just fabulous. It's 24 ounces again, and it's pretty slim overall. I'm looking, I wrote some of that stuff down. 1.5 inches in diameter. It's 8.2 inches long. It's covered in black Cerakote.
Stuff I've seen out here.
It's stainless steel. To me, that means it's going to be very durable, and it's going to run about $775 plus tax stamp if you can buy it where you live. Great can. Rated for 308 or comparable cartridges. You would not want to run a 300 Win Mag through it. So we screw this on, and by the way, I'm being a little bit naughty. I have a compression washer there. Gemtech says don't do that. I guess they're afraid of baffle strikes, but I had no problems, and I cranked it on, and it stays tightened with this better. Call me crazy. It shot great. Shot great. And speaking of great, let's check out the accuracy improvement on the AC. We're learning. We're improving systems, right? Out of the box, this month, Atomic 168 grain match. It's okay. That's not great. I will still say the SPS outshoots this rifle. It just does. And every gun's an individual. But here's that. Look at that. Atomic. Atomic is kind of a lower velocity match cartridge. It's really intended for M1As and Garands. Mostly Garands, the Atomic is. But I find it to be a great accuracy load tester. We're shooting sub MOA now with a can on it. That's basically what I want you to take away from it. With various loads. This is Remington core locked. These are the 2 rounds. This is just a tear. Here's PMC 4-shot group.
One more.
That's pretty sweet. I think I have another one for you. Here's PMC, still shooting a great group with just a flyer. The Gemtech suppressor making a huge difference. That one opened up a bit.
Oh yeah, way cool. I love
Good
it.
group. And check this one out though.
I think I might have to do one of these too.
This is bipod in the desert. So 100 yards, and that was me. That's a great group. But PMC is not the most consistent round out there.
When there's
It just
options
isn't.
to
I
avoid
think
it.
that's it. And by way of reference, let's look at. Let's see. I don't want this to go too long. Here's the FN TSR again from 2012. That's a great bolt gun. My enthusiasm for that gun has not faded at all. That's shooting into 1 MOA. Freaking sub MOA with 180 grain fusion. Here's that atomic load. The FN shot. What's up with FN, by the way? I mean, they're not producing that
love the
TSR. I've
sound
heard
of
from a
that
lot
can.
of TMPers like, I want to buy the gun, but I can't get it. FN's not making it. Well, in FN's defense, the TSR was not selling worth a crap for its predecessor. I mean, I saw their guns sitting around everywhere. And then I did the review, and there's been a lot of dudes that want it since then, and FN has not ginned up production. That's where it's at right now. Latter part of 2013. I hope it changes because the gun is amazing, although much heavier than this. I think naked that gun freaking weighs 9 pounds 11 ounces with a very nice stock on it. Atomic, there you go, TSR. All right, so the improvements in both situations made the guns more accurate. In this case, we used a better stock. In that case, we put a can on it. 20-inch barrel versus I think that's 24-inch barrel on the SPS, which you might ask, what's the velocity differences in real world terms? So glad you asked, because we did test it. About 45 to 40 feet per second difference per inch. Overall, the gun on the top averaged, and actually I didn't shoot this one, but this one averaged about 2,700 feet per second, and then we shot it against a Savage 10 FCP-SR, and that averaged, for its 24-inch barrel, 2870. So not a major difference. I did say in the philosophy of use discussion, though, if you are going to be ranging out on your 308 a long ways, go with a longer barrel. But it's only a slight, difference in velocity. I know, but 308 is underpowered if you ask me in that role. You do yourself a favor, get a longer barrel. That being said, for most shots, probably inside 800 yards or so, the AAC or any 20-inch barreled bolt gun will serve you well. And since we put a can on it, it stabilizes it, makes it more accurate in most situations, definitely makes it quieter. Sounds about like a 22. And I'm going to roll a lot of shooting footage into this video somehow, because I know you guys love the bolt shooting. You love it. So I've done a lot for you for this video, and I'm going to show you. And then it really minimizes the dust signature on it, in my experience. So cans rock. 20-inch barrel versus 24. Decide on your application what makes most sense. Whew. Materials quality, we talked about that. Ergonomics. How about accessories? I've spent a lot of time talking about the stocks. Triggers, I would just stick with the Exmark Pro. If you wanted, just like we said in the original video, you go Jard, Timney, Rifle Basics, maybe some others. I don't know if you really need it. You don't need it, I think the guns as modded on these are a good option for you. For what you get, a cost-effective option for you. Now, I did mention earlier, when we're talking about the bolt knob extension, the reliability of the 700, there is something that I did hit on the other review. We saw it again in both these guns, and that is you can have problems with the internal box magazine of the Remington 700. No way, man. It's a lot more reliable than an external magazine, right? Detachable. Maybe not. Here's why. Because when you load it, there's a couple things that can happen, and they're probably human errors, but when you're looking downrange, you're trying to see where you hit, you're distracted. Heck, in a warfighting environment, you're getting shot at, you're relocating, you're loading on the run. A bunch of things can happen with a Remington 700 magazine that you need to be aware of and really train for. One is you load, you can tilt the follower and put your round in crooked. You'll jam up the entire loading process. You're going to have to release your floor plate, start all over, drop the cartridges out, start over, and put them in clean. When you put them in clean, you got to grab it, push it all the way to the rear. Do it on every round. You got to do it. As we talked about before, I don't recommend loading from the floor plate because they got to go in a certain order. You probably dick it up. Just load from the top. There's techniques for that. You can load as you shoot, pop it in. You can practice it. You got to push them to the rear, because if you don't, here's what will happen. You'll shoot, and we had this happen several times. And we do a lot of bolt gun shooting, so we're used to it. We come all the way to the rear, and then we lock the gun and we shoot, and nothing happens, and the cartridge does not strip off. Why? Because we didn't push the round all the way to the aft of the magazine box, as far as we know. Watch out for that. I mean, it is what it is. I see it more in Remington, so I shouldn't say it. I see it in Savages too. I do see it in Savages. but it seems like I see it more in the Remingtons. You know, human error probably, but it's there, and it's going to be Murphy's Law. If it can go wrong, it will go wrong when you don't want it to. So be aware, train accordingly. Now, talking about bolt manipulation, I do want to mention this. The smoothness of 700s, I love, always have. I think they're great. And I actually, at this point, like them a little bit better than Savage. I do, because Savage has a cam there, and it's going to cock on opening, I believe, and it's a little bit, I don't know, just rough. And PFI dude and myself were talking about this the other day. We come up, and it's just like, there's a catch right there, and you just kind of got to really pop it. I don't see that in the 700s at all. It's smooth. And the ejection on the Savages is about as anemic as it is on the 700s. It's a stamped steel ejector. Now, what do you want me to do, man? I can't redesign the system for you. We're always learning. And that's the foundation for this video. Can you make your Remington Tactical bolt-action rifle better? The answer is yes. You know, the three questions I used when we talked about the modifications, cost, weight, complexity, you need to address those honestly and say, hey, can I live with the gun as is? I bet you in most situations the answer is yes, whether you're talking about an SPS or an AC. You can live with it as is. Now, the suppressor is very expensive, time consuming to get. A lot of states, totally illegal to have, and I understand that, but it transforms this system. I cannot tell you how much fun it is to shoot with a freaking suppressor on it. You've seen a couple vids already. We shot the DKX armor plates with it. It's just freaking cool. Not just a 700, be any bolt gun or any, heck for that matter, any sapper as well. But it opens up kind of a whole new application for this system. Is it worth the money, the complexity, the weight? You decide. In both of these situations, I would say yes. The guns are improved. They are definitely more accurate. On this one, maybe the ejection is slightly better. That one, I didn't see a problem. By the way, that's just a Harris bipod on that. There you go. That is the update video. Still highly recommended. Very high value and very capable tactical bolt action rifles. TMP. Thanks for watching. See ya.
Ready? Yep, good.
Sweet. 1,000 yards. Just kidding.
Nice hit.
I didn't go through 4 that quick, did I?
I didn't count.
I'm used to shooting that Savage.
Yeah, I know. You just keep going, huh?
Yep. It's 4. 4 goes quick.
Well, didn't grab one, huh?
See, this is what I talk about. 2 things. One's everyone acts like an Eternal Box magazine is so reliable.
Right.
But you got to push that round all the way back. But even still, sometimes it, I don't know,
Doesn't
just
quite grab
fails
it.
to strip it off. I don't think it's all that. I thought I'd pushed it all the way back too.
I love the sound of it with that can.
That's awesome.
Nice.
4 more. There's another example.
Oh, yeah.
So now you got to pop your floor plate out and restart.
That sucks.
You know what caused that? Going at, just pushing the rear down too much. Who cares? It
Yeah, it should
who
still
cares
work.
what happens? The heat of battle, you're trying to shove rounds in. That's going to happen.
It will.
So internal box magazines to me aren't. In some ways, they're more fraught with issues than a good magazine. Contrary to conventional wisdom. And it's just stuff I've seen out here. Let me put this like that.
Nice. Nice, you got the swinger.
Sweet. Hard to do with ball. Couple quirks, I love it though.
Mm-hmm.
The setup with a can I really love. I really love that.
Thoughts on 20 versus 24-inch barrel?
With a can, definitely a 20. Without a can, probably between a 20 and a 24. Probably a 24 without a can. It's less blast, recoil, a little bit more velocity.
They'll keep the speed up a little bit.
Yeah. Just depends what you want out of the gun. If you're ranging out that freaking 308 to 800 and beyond, I would definitely go with a longer barrel.
Me too.
Because you want to give it every advantage that you can. It's an underpowered cartridge as it is. I think 308 is.
I do too for range.
Yeah, it sucks. I mean, it's a good all-arounder, but 300 Win Mag is kind of my go-to long range. Less dope, more power, less wind problems with it. But it's just
Ultimately
so darn
more
expensive.
energy at the target.
Yep. It's expensive though, dude.
Here, I'll turn that off. Got it?
Yep.
Let me turn it off or leave it on?
You leave it on.
'Kay.
'Cause we'll go in. Here, you sail some out of this.
What ammo were you running?
PMCs.
Okay, I think I got some of that. I just didn't think to bring anything out. I have to agree with what you said. I've always been kind of skeptical of reliability of internal mags.
Everyone acts like they're all that. They're not. They take a
Well,
very
I mean,
special loading procedure.
Just thinking about the, was it the Mosin we were running?
Yeah, we had problems with
Rim
that.
lock and all kinds of issues.
And I've seen it in the Remingtons too, and the Savages for internal magazine loading.
Yeah.
It's not all that. Hang on, I gotta get ready. Ready when you are. Sweet. You hit the swinger on that too, I think.
I think I did.
See? I bet you didn't pick up the round.
It's not
See
grabbing.
that? Do that again, cycle it so guys can see what's going
I
on.
might have moved it. Yeah, I moved it back.
But see, it's got to go all the way back.
Yeah, the round does, yeah.
All the way back.
Pulled that one over it.
Air ball.
Air ball. Swinger.
God, that sounds cool.
It does. You can hear it swing too. That's way cool.
Yeah.
I even took my time throwing those in that last time.
Yep.
To make sure they went to the rear.
It's particular, isn't it?
Yeah.
All 700 308s I've shot her that way. You better make sure that round's all the way back. And even still, it may do it. And I was thinking when I shot the other day that I wasn't bringing the bolt all the way back, but I'm pretty sure I was.
No, you were. We're both of us have the same issue. Oh,
Nice.
knocked the swinger right out of it.
You did?
Yeah. The swinger blew right out the middle.
Dude. Well, AT was telling me to put the upgraded plates in.
I went for the top, but I missed. Got one more. That's funny.
Sick.
Awesome.
It's a cool setup though, huh?
Oh yeah, way cool. I love it.
I do too.
I think I might have to do one of these too, just
I
because.
just freaking
But I hate
love
this. After running that,
it. I know. Running internal box magazine is stupid.
yeah. When there's options to avoid it.
Someone needs to come out with you know who needs to do it is Legacy Sports.
And
Needs to come out with a mag conversion for 700s.
Yeah. I could have swore the Accurate Mag had one, but you could look into it and see. I'm sure it's not cheap. Nothing is.
Nope.
Should we sling a few out of the Savage?
Totally.
Aim for the top half of the plate?
Totally. I can run down, swap it in again.
It's fine.